Okay, you're gonna learn a new thing today. It's not hard. Draw a line with the I don't think it is, maybe, but different people find different things hard. So, X-intercept is 3, Y-intercept is 5. Draw a line with the given intercepts. Okay. I don't want to overcomplicate this, but I want you to make 2 coordinates. Okay. X, Y. In one of the coordinates, you're going to put 3 for X. In the other coordinate, you're going to put 5 for Y. Now, what are these? Well, it's going to be 0, okay? Because these are coordinates. It's not one coordinate, it's 2 separate ones. Because I'll have a lot of people just put 3, 5, and go graph that as a point and say that's the answer. So don't. Make 2 separate coordinates. So x, y, remember, y is positive here, negative here. X is positive here, negative here. Now you plot them. So if x is positive 3, you're going to go 1, 2, 3. And then the y in that coordinate 0, so we just stay there. That's why it's called the x-intercept. It's on the x-axis. 0, 5, okay? So that way, I'll start back in the middle. X is 0, so I don't move. I stay in the middle of the x. But then y being 5, I go to positive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the y. And that is on the y. Again, on this whole assignment, you should have 1 point on the x line, 1 point on the y line. Anything but that, you're probably doing it incorrectly. Okay, and I will try. Okay, next one, x-intercept is 1, y-intercept is negative 4. Okay, put 1 in the x, and then in the other coordinate, put negative 4 for the y, then these go to zeros. So x positive this way, negative this way. Y positive this way, negative this way. So 1, 0, I go to positive 1, and then y being 0, I stay in the right there. So that's your x-intercept. Now 0, negative 4, so x is 0, so I stay in the middle of the x, but I go down 4 on the y. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Once again, I should have a point on the x-axis, there it is, and a point on the y-axis. Okay, last one of these. X-intercept equals 1, y-intercept equals negative 3. So in the first coordinate, you put a 1. Oh, sorry, I did this wrong. X-intercept was 4. So I put a 4 for x, and down in the other coordinate, I put negative 3 for y, so 0, 0. Okay, so here's the x, here's the y. Positive on y, negative on y, positive on x, negative on x. So 4, 0, okay? So I go positive 4 on x, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I don't move on the y. 0, negative 3, so I don't move across at all. I don't move forward, I don't move backwards, I just need to move to negative 3 on y, so 1, 2, 3. Now what was the point of that? Okay, well we're going to find out here in a bit. Okay, graph the equations. You can see the directions on the document by finding the x and y intercepts of the graph. You're not going to use slope here. Now this is actually pretty easy. And here's why I say it's easy. You don't have to make sure the y is by itself. Okay, you don't have to do that. You have to do it when you're doing slope, but not with the y-intercept, or not with x-y-intercept. What you're going to do is you're going to copy that equation further down Doesn't matter the formation it's in, and you're going to make an XY coordinate in both of them. Okay. This is going to be my X-intercept. This is going to be my Y-intercept. Okay. So under the coordinates, we'll put X int, Y int. So you copy the equation, set up your coordinates, X int, Y int. Now, X-intercept, we're solving for the X, so we put the Y at 0. Okay, you got that? Now, you're going to replace 0 goes in for Y then. But what's negative 8 times 0? It'd be 0. So if you get a product of 0, then this whole thing goes away. Okay. Then you got 2 times X equals negative 16. You just need to divide by 2 and you have it. So that's negative 8. Okay. Now, here we're solving for Y. So we put the X to 0. So now 0 goes in for X. 2 times 0 is 0. And you have negative 8 times Y equals negative 16. So we divide by negative 8. And that's 2. Okay. Now you plot it and you got your equation. So XY, positive, negative, positive, negative. So negative 8 on the X would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I just marked the point there because the Y has a value of 0. Okay, X has a value of 0, so I don't move across at all. Y is positive 2, so I go 1, 2. And that's the graph of that line. Now it has a slope, we just don't need to figure it out. Okay, next problem. 3x plus 4y equals 24. Now again, all these are finding the XY intercept. Okay, so I make coordinates, 2 coordinates. And I will find the X-intercept here. I'll just put it to the side and write equals, and I'll put Y int here. I know I didn't do that on the first one. Okay, so X-intercept, we're solving for X, so the Y goes to 0, so 0 goes in for Y. Well, then that's 0. We can get 4 times 0 is 0. Okay, 3 times X equals 24, so we divide by 3. 24 divided by 3 is 8. Okay. Now the Y-intercept is solving for Y, so put the X to 0. So 0 goes in for the X now. Okay, 3 times 0, 0. So we have 4 times Y equals 24, so we divide by 4, and we get 6 for the Y-intercept. Okay, so here's X, here's Y. Let's talk X here. Positive, negative, so I got a positive 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, now the y-axis, go back to the middle. Negative 6 on the y-axis. X is 0, so you don't move on the x at all. Positive, negative. So we would go to positive 6. Up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there's my line. Okay. Remember, the line has all points that fit the equation. Okay, next, x minus 2y equals negative 2. So first off, I write the copy, make a duplicate copy of the equation further down. xy, xy. Let's find the x-intercept here, x-int. Let's find the y-int here. Okay, finding the x-int, so y goes to 0. Okay. Plus negative. 2 times 0 is 0. And you don't even have to divide, you're at negative 2. Okay. Y-intercept. Put the x to 0 because we have to find the number that goes in for y. Okay, x is 0, so that'd be just 0. There's no multiplier in the front. So you have negative 2 times y equals negative 2. So we divide each side by negative 2 and I get 1. Okay. Okay, so x positive this way, negative this way. So negative 2. Y positive this way, negative this way. So I got to go to 1. They're close together, that's okay. There I have it. Okay. Next one, 3x plus 3y equals negative 15. So x, so I do make a duplicate copy. And you set up 2 coordinates. So x int equals y int equals. Alright, so x int, I got to find the number for x, so I put the y at 0. Okay, so I substitute 0 for y. 3 times 0 is 0. Okay. Then you just divide each side by 3. And negative 15 divided by 3 is negative 5. Okay, now the y int. So I need to find the number for y, so I replace the x goes to 0. 3 times 0 is 0. Okay, so 3 times y equals negative 15. We divide each side by 3, and we get negative 5. Alright, now these can be the same. They're not the same point, but I can get the same value for the x and y-intercept. So x positive, negative. So negative 5 would be back this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then y is 0, so I just mark the point on the line. If you want to label it, that's fine. Negative 5 comma 0. I don't care. Okay. Now 0, negative 5. Stay in the middle and go y positive, negative. Okay. So we have to get to negative 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, if you want to label it, the label is 0, negative 5. So these are different points. That's negative 5, 0. This is 0, negative 5. Okay, then negative 3x plus 6y equals 12. And down here I'm just going to put x minus 4y equals 8. Okay, so again, make a duplicate copy and set up 2 coordinates. This is going to be the x int. This is going to be the y int. So x int, I'm finding the number that goes where x is at by setting the y equal to 0. So y is 0. 6 times 0 is 0. So negative 3 times x equals 12. So we divide by negative 3. And that's negative 4. That's your x int. Okay. So the y int, now I'm finding the number that goes where y is at by setting the x equal to 0. So that's going to be 0. 6 times y equals 12, so I will divide each side by 6, and I got 2. Okay, so x, positive, negative. Let's think x-intercept first, so negative 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the y-intercept, positive, negative, so I go to 2 on the y. Remember, having that other value at 0 means I don't need to move in the other direction. So I got the y-intercept and the x-intercept. If you want to label, that's fine. This would be negative 4 comma 0, and this would be 0 comma 2. I don't care if you label though. Some teachers would, I don't. Okay. Alright, next one. Make a duplicate copy first. X minus 4y equals 8. Then you're going to go x int equals y int equals. Okay, I'm solving for x here, so I set the y to 0. Well, plus negative, doesn't matter 4 or negative 4, that's still 0. And we just have x equals 8, we don't even have to divide there. Okay, the y-intercept, I'm finding the number that goes in for y when the x is at 0. Okay, you don't have to times anything, it's just 0. So we have negative 4 times y equals 8. So we're just going to divide by negative 4. 8 divided by negative 4 is negative 2. Okay, x and y, so let's talk about the x. Positive, negative. I got to go to positive 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it'd be 8 comma 0. You don't need to put that if you don't want to. 0, negative 2, okay, that's the y. So y, positive, negative. So 1, negative 2. Okay, there you have it. Now, the next group, you're pretty much doing the same thing, but it's less work because you don't have to graph. It says find the x and y-intercepts of each equation and graph. Okay, I'm just going to write the problems as I see them. 2x plus 5y equals 20. Here we got 5x minus 6y equals 60. 2x plus 4y equals 12. Negative x minus y equals negative 8. Okay, so you're going to make a duplicate copy over here. You're going to make your 2 coordinates below each one. And this is going to be our x-int, this is going to be our y-int, and I'm pretty much doing the same thing. So you're finding the x when the y is at 0. 5 times 0 is 0. So 2 times x equals 20, so we just divide by 2, and we get 10. Circle that, that's your x-int. Y-intercept, you're finding the y when the x is to 0. Okay, 2 times 0 is 0. Now I got 5 times y equals 20, so we divide each side by 5, and we get 4. So 10, 0 is your x-int, 0, 4 is your y-int. Okay, next one, duplicate copy. So x-int equals, y-int equals, make coordinates. Okay, so the x-int, we're finding the x when the y is at 0. 6 times 0 is 0. So 5 times x equals 60, so I divide by 5, and then x would equal 12. Okay. Y-intercept, you're finding the y when the x is to 0. So 5 times 0 is 0. It's a negative 6, remember. So when you divide, it's by negative 6. 60 divided by negative 6 is negative 10. Okay, next one. You need a duplicate copy of the equation when finding the x and y-intercepts. So x-int equals, y-int equals. So xy. Now everything's organized. X-int, I'm finding the x when the y is at 0. It's at the x-intercept, your y is at 0 because you're going nowhere on the y. 4 times 0 is 0. 2 times x equals 12, so I divide each side by 2 and I get 6. Okay. Y-intercept, finding y when the x is at 0. So 2 times 0 is 0. So 4 times y equals 12, so I divide by 4, and you get 3. Okay, x-int, y-int. Last problem. Duplicate your equation. X-int equals, y-int equals. Okay. Then I set them up into graphing coordinates. Okay. Okay, you're finding x when the y is at 0. Okay, now if you have negatives and minuses, you're going to want to apply a 1 in front of there so you don't get all confuzzled. Okay, so y goes to 0. 0 goes in for y. That's 0. So when the product's 0, you get to delete it, and now you just divide each side by your -1. So that's 8. Okay. Y-intercept, remember again, when you have negatives and minuses in front of variables, you really need to apply a 1. Okay. So you find y, the x goes to 0. 0 goes in for x at the y-intercept because you're finding the number where y is at. Okay, and you got -1 times y equals -8, so you divide by -1, and that's 8.